scrub that off. Fun. I've not used this particular stuff before, so I'm just going to test it on a small patch of a part that I know is clean and see how it goes. So this rust converter works on rusty surfaces only. So you only put a small amount on, it takes 8 hours, and it will turn it back into metal. Obviously, if you've got some serious rust or advanced rust, you can't use this. This is just for a bit of surface rust that you want to convert back into metal, which you're going to repaint again to help protect it.
So at this point in the conversion, I'm actually waiting for some electrical components to arrive. I've ordered a motor and controller kit which comes with throttle and wiring loom. For the motor side of things and the battery side of things, we will sort out ourselves from a different supplier. So a good time to do this sort of stuff.
So I'm not 100% satisfied with the cleanliness of everything before I put rust converter on all of the small seams and other areas. So I've just put a little bit on some areas that I know are clean, and I'll show you. And next time I come back, I'll have a look to see if this rust converter is still doing its job. It's a pretty old thing that's been sitting around for a few years, so this will be a good test. So I put a bit there on the battery tray. You can see obviously where this looks like a undercoat or a previously painted area, the grey, and this is the rusty areas which I've coated with the rust converter. And over this side, a couple little patches just there, and a couple more patches there on the chassis rail. So we'll see what they're like next time. Apart from that, the seam that runs along the back behind the spare wheel well, and a couple of these spots here are too dirty for me at the moment. You can see they're brown. I need to get some brake clean or some surface prep, wax and grease remover, and also clean down there beneath where the brake booster would usually sit. Clean that up before rust convert it, just so I know there's no any flakes of stuff sitting there, so the rust converter can do its job properly, and so I can get a bit of paint there. Another really annoying spot is in the tunnel here. CV grease has flicked up there over the few years because that CV boot was torn, and it's just baked itself on, so I'll have to get on there at some stage and scrub that off. Fun. So these are the other spots that are of concern. So this back part here, which has been repaired before, these holes in the tray which are a bit annoying, but that's life, I guess, and a couple little seams over that side near that front of that wheel arch which I will have to tackle. So I'll get cracking on these too.
So whilst we're looking in the back, it's probably a good time to talk about battery considerations. So one supplier I checked out has 3.7 volt battery cells, and the motor package we've got is 144 volt kit. So I need to have a battery pack that is capable of outputting 144 volts with a maximum of 500 amps. So a considerable amount of current. Now I've got to make sure that the pack can withstand 500 amps of current, otherwise we'll have some overheating issues. So a 600 amp battery pack would be great, just so there's a bit of leeway. It's always better with electrical components to over compensate for the amount of current that will be required. As far as getting 144 volts goes, if I go with 12 volt cells, then obviously I'll need 12 volt cells to make 144 volts nominal voltage. However, I will still need to put more cells in parallel with that so that I can get the amount of current output required. And if I use 3.7 volt cells, I'll need 38 cells in series to get the voltage. So I've taken that back a fair way, and enough that I think I'm fairly confident with any other paint that's around that rusty spot has been taken back, and put some rust converter on, see how it comes up. There's a tiny hole, like, it's hard to see there, right there,
couple of spots actually. So I'll have to check inside the cabin. I think this is double skin at the back, so it shouldn't have gone through, but much worse than that. I probably would like to cut it out and plate it. So we'll see how it comes up. Hey, so I'm behind the seats of the Brumby now. I'm just going to take this back plastic panel off just to check out, hopefully, that no rust has come through this side. I don't think it has, but I just want to be sure just to treat it before it spreads or gets any worse if that's the case. Also, now's a good time to have a good look at the floors to see if any rust in the floors or anything dodgy. It looks like it's been fairly well looked after, apart from a couple bits and pieces here and there. Some cars this age, 30 years old, it's 1990, rusted out, so you get that with a 30-year-old car.
Also, speaking of batteries, I may well use this space behind the seats to store some more batteries if I want more space in the tray for my mountain bikes.
Just to note as well, I've got these funny like cargo straps. I guess if you've got luggage or something you want to put in there, you can put it in and tighten it up. With the seats all the way back, there's still a little bit of room in the back here, so put your luggage in, put your raincoat, whatever you want. Moment of truth. Behind the back, it's a bit dusty, but interesting. Okay, there are my fuel lines and brake lines. Got a sensor over here. Interesting to know what that's for. A few more lines over there. Bit of wiring, and this is the spot I want to look at. So there's a couple of holes that you can see there. That is coming back straight from the back. That's where the tray sits. Everything lower than this is lower than the tray. I'll keep this off because I want to make sure that everything under this dirt here isn't rusty. I think it's not too bad. There's a couple little spots like just there, and also obviously here. I'm going to have to do something about that. But, yeah, good. It's not as bad as I thought. It's not rusted all the way through or large portions of it rusty. So that's good. And we can get a good look at the floor in here too. It looks pretty good, to be honest. So I'm just about to leave for the day after doing some rust work, and I just wanted to show you, it's been about 30 minutes, 45 minutes for the engine bay rust converter. I'll show you what it looks like. So you can already see it's reforming the surface rust into metal, and I'll show you the engine bay. That's the little bit I did on the passenger side. A couple bits there. And this is the battery tray. So about half of it's already turning into metal, so that's great.